Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. Today, I'm about to take you on a journey. And by the end of it, not only will your heart be lighter, your mind clearer, and your purpose sharpened, but I'll also make a special prayer just for you. So stay with me. Now tell me something. Have you ever felt like the storm in your life was never going to end? That all the grinding, the tears you wiped silently, the times you kept going when quitting would have been easier, were just leading nowhere? Well, let me tell you something bold, and I don't say this lightly. If you're hearing this right now, there's a high chance you are one of the chosen ones. Not because you're perfect, not because you have the loudest voice or the cleanest record, but because you've endured. You passed the test. And no, not the kind of test with papers and pens. I'm talking about the hidden ones. The tests no one saw. The moments you were broken, humiliated, forgotten, and still, you whispered to the heavens, even if your voice cracked. That was the real test. The one where nobody clapped for you, and yet you kept moving. Now here's the part that people miss. When chosen ones are tested, it's never just for survival. It's for transformation. The pressure you felt wasn't to crush you, it was to form you. The fire you walked through wasn't a punishment, it was purification. But here's the twist. Now that the storm has passed, God is about to raise you. And not just gently. He's about to raise you in a way that even you won't fully understand. It'll start quietly, subtly, a new peace in your chest, clarity in your steps, maybe even an unexpected opportunity. But soon, it'll be undeniable. Let me ask you something personal. Have you noticed how, just before the elevation, everything seems to get worse? Like your patience gets thinner, the people around you get louder, and the silence from above gets heavier? That's because elevation is hidden behind endurance. And now that you've endured, the doors will begin to open. But here's the key. Elevation isn't about spotlight. It's about alignment. The reason God allowed you to pass through all that wasn't just to prove your strength. He already knew it. It was to detach you from everything that would have slowed you down later. Relationships, desires, expectations. That's why it felt like loss. But in truth, it was freedom being handed to you in a form you didn't recognize. You're not the same person who entered the trial, and that's the point. The old version of you wouldn't have survived the next chapter, but the new one, the refined, quieter, wiser, more sincere version, that's the one who's about to be raised. And if you're thinking, I don't feel ready, that's normal. The ones God raises are rarely the loudest or the most certain. They're the ones who still tremble but walk anyway. They're the ones who say yes to God when they have no map, only trust. So here's your moment. Don't step back. You've been refined in secret. Now watch how He raises you in ways no one can deny. You have been tested in ways that most people never understand. Not by chance, but by divine design, the challenges came. Not to punish, but to prepare you. Those long nights of silence, the moments when prayers felt unanswered, the isolation you endured, each was a deliberate part of the process. It's easy to think that when nothing is happening, you are forgotten. But often the greatest transformation happens when everything seems still. The silence is not absence. It is the calm before the rising. The waiting was not wasted. It was a sacred preparation. The test was not only about patience, but about perseverance with sincerity. You were not just waiting for relief, you were being shaped into something greater, someone who can carry a weight far heavier than before. You learned that success is not always visible, and growth is not always loud. Sometimes the most powerful changes happen beneath the surface, where no one can see. The pressure you felt was a sign you were moving through a refining process.
not a failing one. Every struggle was designed to teach you resilience and humility, to break what was false and strengthen what was real. You might have felt broken, like pieces of yourself were scattered and lost. But those broken pieces were the fragments that needed to be reshaped. Like clay on a potter's wheel, your soul was being molded carefully, even if the process was painful. The challenges forced you to confront your weaknesses, your doubts, your fears. And in doing so, you discovered hidden wells of strength you never knew existed. The tests were hard, yes, but they were also the evidence that you were chosen. Not everyone is prepared to face such trials, and certainly not everyone passes them. Many give up when the road is dark and unclear, but you kept going. You showed up when the world turned away. You believed in a promise that was not yet visible. This unseen endurance is the hallmark of the chosen. Your struggle was never meant to be permanent. It was the threshold. The point where most stop is exactly where you are now poised to begin anew. The divine timing of your elevation is unfolding, but it requires recognizing the purpose of your past trials. You must see them not as burdens, but as badges of honor, marks of a soul refined through fire. Remember, the delay was never a denial. It was a preparation for something much bigger. When God tests, He does so to prepare the ground for a harvest. The trials you faced were not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. And if you look closely, you will find that the very moments you thought were breaking you were secretly building you. The lessons embedded in hardship are priceless, and they position you for elevation beyond your imagination. This period of testing also removed distractions that would have slowed your ascent. People, desires, attachments that once weighed you down have been lifted away. This may have felt like loss, but it was liberation. The space now cleared in your life creates room for what God is about to place in it. This is why the waiting was necessary, so that when the time comes, the elevation will be unhindered and unstoppable. You were not forgotten in the silence. You were being prepared to rise with strength and clarity. So this moment you find yourself in, the one that feels heavy and uncertain, is actually the edge of a breakthrough. The test was never about how much you could endure without change. It was about whether you would emerge renewed, ready to carry the light forward. And you did. Now everything is aligning to lift you up. The transformation has begun, and the next chapter in your story is about to be written with power and grace. You have passed the test, but it's not because you were flawless or without doubt. It is because you stayed. Because when most would have walked away, given up, or lost faith, you held on. You endured the silence, the loneliness, the weight of unanswered prayers, and you did not break. That perseverance is what marks the chosen. It is not perfection, but persistence that lifts you above the crowd. The path you walked was hard, not because it was designed to punish, but because it was designed to prepare you. You passed not by avoiding the storm, but by walking through it, soaked and trembling, with nothing but trust in your heart. This victory is quiet. It has no fanfare or applause. The world may not see it, and sometimes you may not feel it, but within you, something has shifted. The foundations have been tested and found strong. Your soul has been refined in ways that only pain and patience can achieve. And now, the signs of your passing are beginning to show. Not in sudden changes, but in steady growth, in a deeper peace, in a resilience that no longer wavers at the first sign of hardship. You passed because you refused to let despair take root. When fear whispered, you answered with faith. When doubt knocked, you stood firm. This is not luck or chance. It is divine favor. You are the one who stayed when many fled, the one who kept believing when all seemed lost. And that is why, now, the response from above is beginning to unfold. Doors are opening quietly behind the scenes. The light you sought is creeping into your days. The elevation is real, even if it feels slow or unseen. Understand this well. Passing the test is not the end of the journey. It is the turning point. The moment when the soil beneath your feet changes from barren to fertile. The moment when the struggle you endured becomes the strength you carry forward. The elevation that follows will require all you have learned: humility, patience, sincerity, and surrender. It will call on you to be even more steadfast, even more faithful. Because rising does not mean the struggle is over. It means you have been prepared to carry more. This preparation also means you are no longer the same person who entered the trial. You are more aware, more cautious, more discerning. You know the cost of pride, the danger of false confidence. You have tasted the bitterness of broken dreams and survived. That survival is your foundation. Now, it supports the house you are about to build, one rooted in truth, resilience, and divine guidance. Remember, elevation is not about being seen by many. It is about being known by the one who matters most. The world may not recognize your rise, but that is not the point. The true elevation is within. The peace that surpasses understanding. The quiet strength that no storm can shake. This is your new reality. The next chapter is not just about success. It is about faithfulness. About carrying what you have been given with care, wisdom, and humility. So as you move forward, hold tight to what made you pass. Your persistence, your trust, your willingness to stay. These are your treasures. The world may celebrate others loudly, but your reward is deeper, richer, eternal. The one who raised you sees everything, and that is more than enough. Now the shift begins. It's a quiet revolution inside your heart and soul that no one else may notice at first. You've been through storms that threatened to uproot you, but instead they have strengthened your roots. The weight that once pressed on your shoulders is now becoming a foundation for your rise. The shadows that seemed endless are receding, just as dawn pushes away the night. This is not a sudden explosion, but a steady unfolding, like a seed breaking through the earth toward the light. The process is gentle but unstoppable. You might notice that your perspective is changing. Things that once consumed your thoughts now seem trivial. The opinions of others carry less weight. You find yourself more patient in situations that used to ignite frustration. There's a clarity emerging that wasn't there before, a sense that you are moving from survival to purpose. You're no longer reacting to life's chaos, but responding with a calm rooted in deep trust. This shift is a sign that God is preparing you to carry a heavier light, one that requires steadiness, humility, and strength. This phase of elevation may not look like what you expected. It might not come with grand announcements or visible triumphs. Instead, it's found in quiet moments of peace, unexpected doors opening, and the gradual alignment of circumstances. You'll find opportunities arriving when you least expect them, people drawn to your sincerity, and a sense of peace growing in your heart despite ongoing challenges. This is the real sign of divine favor, not noise, but stillness filled with power. The shift also calls for a deeper surrender. And now that the test is passed, you are invited to let go of control, to trust the process fully, even when the path is unclear, to accept that elevation comes in God's timing, not yours. This surrender is not weakness. It is the strength of knowing that true rise happens only through submission. The more you release your grip on your own plans and desires, the more space you create for divine blessings to flow. You will also find your connections changing. Some relationships that once supported you may fade away, while new ones that align with your growth will emerge. This is natural. God is clearing your path to make way for the next phase of your mission. Embrace this change without fear. It's a sign that you are stepping into a new season, one that demands greater wisdom, courage, and integrity. In this moment of shift, remember that your elevation is not just for you. It is a responsibility. The light you carry now has the power to guide others out of darkness. Your journey becomes a beacon for those still struggling in the shadows. The strength you have built through endurance equips you to lift others. This is the sacred trust of the chosen, being raised not to stand above, but to serve alongside, to illuminate and to protect. So as you feel the shift within, lean into it with faith. Trust that the trials you endured were the soil from which your rise springs. Know that each step forward, no matter how small, is part of a divine plan unfolding perfectly. The elevation you are entering is real, and it is lasting. You have passed the test, and now the world is about to witness what God will do with one who never gave up. The way God raises a chosen one is unlike any human elevation. It is not about fame, not about popularity, not about flashy displays or worldly applause. It is a quiet but profound process of transformation that touches every part of your being, your heart, your mind, your soul, and your actions. God raises those who can carry light without seeking to be seen. Those who understand that true elevation is about service, humility, and sincere obedience. When God raises you, He begins by deepening your awareness. You become more conscious of your weaknesses, your flaws, and the ways pride can quietly creep into your heart. This awareness is not meant to discourage but to purify. It is a reminder that elevation is not a destination, but a lifelong journey of refinement. You learn that being chosen is not a badge of honor to wear with pride, but a sacred trust to carry with care. The weight of this trust demands constant vigilance and honesty. Elevation from God also means being tested in new ways. The challenges don't disappear, they evolve. The trials may become subtler, more internal. Instead of obvious struggles, you face battles within your own heart. Temptations of arrogance, the desire for control, the pull of comfort over sacrifice. These are the true tests for those being raised because they threaten to undo the purity that made the elevation possible in the first place. Another way God raises you is by surrounding you with what you need, often in unexpected forms. Doors that were once closed begin to open. Opportunities for growth, connections with sincere people, moments of clarity and inspiration. Yet, this provision requires readiness. You must remain humble and vigilant so that you do not mistake these blessings for your own doing or begin to rely on your own strength. True elevation means recognizing that every good thing comes from God's mercy and grace. The path of elevation also calls for sacrifice. Not always the grand, obvious sacrifices, but daily acts of surrender. Letting go of control, releasing grudges, choosing patience over impatience, humility over pride. These small, consistent sacrifices build a character capable of carrying divine light without distortion. When you embrace this reality, you become a vessel for blessing, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Furthermore, being raised by God means becoming a source of guidance for others. Your experiences, your trials, your perseverance become a beacon for those still struggling in darkness. But this role requires wisdom and caution. Elevation is not an excuse for superiority or judgment. It is a call to compassion, to empathy, and to leading by example. The true chosen one raises others quietly, humbly, and with a heart open to correction. It is important to remember that this elevation is deeply connected to sincerity. God sees the heart in ways no one else can. Your rise will never be truly complete unless it is rooted in pure intentions, seeking only God's pleasure, not the praise of people. When your motivation is sincere, your elevation becomes a source of peace and fulfillment. When it is not, it becomes a trap of endless striving and dissatisfaction. Lastly, know that God's timing is perfect. You may desire immediate results, visible success, or public recognition, but divine elevation often unfolds in ways that challenge your patience. It may feel slow or hidden, but it is always purposeful. Trust in the process, knowing that what God builds is lasting and beyond what you can imagine. The most profound rises are those that happen beneath the surface, away from the spotlight, growing steady and sure. As you embrace this understanding of how God raises you, prepare yourself not only to receive, but also to give. Your elevation is a gift that carries responsibility. You are called to use it to bring light, hope, and guidance to others. Your journey is no longer just about your survival or success. It is about becoming a vessel of mercy and a channel of blessings in a world desperately in need. Now, as you stand on the threshold of this new chapter, remember that being raised by God is both an honor and a responsibility. It is not simply about receiving blessings or elevation. It is about carrying a light that others can follow. The journey that brought you here was not easy, but it was necessary. Your endurance has transformed you into someone capable of great mercy, wisdom, and strength. As you rise, hold tightly to humility and sincerity, for these will keep your heart pure and your path straight. The world may celebrate loudly those who appear to rise quickly, but true elevation is quiet, steady, and rooted deep within the soul. Let your rise be marked not by pride or arrogance, but by a humble spirit that seeks only the pleasure of the one who chose you. Remember, your greatest success is not in how many know your name, but in how many are guided closer to truth and light because of you. And now, as promised, let us end with a prayer. O Allah, most merciful, most wise, we thank you for the trials that have shaped us and the mercy that continues to guide us. We ask you to bless those who have passed their tests and are about to be raised in your light. Grant them steadfastness in faith, purity in intention, and strength in humility. Protect them from the whispers of pride and the traps of arrogance. Help them to carry their light with grace, to lead with compassion, and to remain sincere in every step. O Lord, make their rise a means of blessing for themselves and for all those around them. Let their journey inspire hope, bring peace, and illuminate the path for others lost in darkness. And when challenges return, remind them of your presence and your promise that every hardship leads to ease. Amen.